Okay, great. Well, listen, thanks for tuning in, guys and gals. It's a little bit last minute. I decided to go live because it's 4 p.m. on a Sunday, and that's my usual slot to drop a video. So I didn't have anything planned, and I've not made notes or anything like that. I'm going to kind of like freestyle this one. I'm going to riff it, if you like. But yeah, I thought it's got to be a topic. It's certainly something that I can, relate to. Losing direction with your bass playing. And you know, it could be a case of you feel like you're not making the progress that you'd like to. It could be that maybe you're just kind of like losing interest in the stuff you're playing, and one thing can kind of feed the other, I think. And then you kind of stop putting as much work into it and all the rest of it, and you can kind of plateau. So yeah, it's definitely a thing that I've met, and there are a whole bunch of different kind of strategies that you can employ to to kind of move forwards and keep your kind of momentum going, or get it going again, light that spark. So yeah, this is a discussion. It's not a one-way lesson. So I'm really keen to hear what other people's ways of dealing with this have been, and then we can share it with the group. Anybody else joined us, Jan, since I've been prattling on?
No, Mark Smith says still can't see Jan, and I've just replied, I said, can't see me, that's the way I like it. David Milne, I haven't lost direction, I've lost focus, yo-yoing between styles.
Yeah, and I guess I'd umbrella that that's kind of what I mean as well, so yeah. Is that it, Jan?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
She said you need to say over, I think.
Over and out.
Yeah, over and out,
Over and out, Scott.
Or give me a wink, there's nothing left. Right. So let's kind of let's dig into this a little bit. Let's get started. So for anybody that's just joined the stream, just let me recap. This is about if you've lost direction, or as somebody just said, Mark, you've lost focus, or was it David? I can't remember.
David, yeah.
Yeah, you've lost focus in your playing, and you're kind of flitting from one thing to the other. Now, that losing focus thing is something I can really relate to. Just the nature of how I am, is that I'll kind of get really into something and go all guns blazing at it for so long, and then just kind of hit this brick wall and go, I'll do this now, right? So I can really relate to that kind of, and jumping around from one thing to the other. What I will say about that is, by the way, is I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. There's a guy that is a friend of mine, and I teach him as well over Skype over in America, who one of the things has frustrated him about learning bass generally, it's not just pointed at me, this is that there isn't like a set criteria, set kind of not criteria, what's the word I'm looking for? What do you call it, Jan? It's not syllabus. What is it?
Sorry, I was just actually reading.
She's reading a novel over there. Feet up, pina colada. You know what I mean?
I wish.
I don't know.
No, I'm just
Can't
reading.
Get the staff.
I'm reading your thing.
I can't think of the word. You know what I mean? It's not syllabus, but like a set kind of things that you
pathway.
No, it's that.
Mark Smith says pathway. Any other ideas, guys? Because I didn't hear what he said.
These are all. Let's turn it into what is the guess the words session. But you know what I mean, right? In classical, and I don't know that certain
protocol. Is that the word?
It's not.
What is it you're trying to say? What were you saying?
It's because I used to, believe it or not, teach at college. You wouldn't think so, would you? But and you have a certain series of things that you have to do for a certain course, right?
Criteria?
It's kind of a syllabus, but there's another word. It's not criteria. What is that damn word?
Standard, structure. These are some of the curriculum.
Curriculum may be the word. Yeah, I think we've got to the point anyway.
Yeah.
And that kind of does exist in classical music. And some well-known bass tutors are out there are kind of suggesting that we should learn bass guitar as pop bass players and funk players in that kind of way. But I don't really think that is a thing. I think that you can flit around. You can, as long as you spend enough time on one thing at once, so you really get some value out of it. I think, a little bit of learning this and then learning that. If it keeps you interested and it keeps you fired up, I think that's the most important thing.
I think people work differently as well, don't they?
They do, yeah.
They all end up at the same point,
yeah,
but they work differently to how it fits them, I think.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that a lot of the bass players, just musicians generally, in pop and jazz and funk and rock and things like that, they kind of arrived at where they were by doing things their own way, making mistakes almost, kind of like doing things wrong in inverted commas, and by doing that, trying to imitate someone else, they became something incredible and new. And I think that's what's lovely about it, because there are no rules, so the fact that there is no that word,
Progression. Eva says progression.
I'll remember it about 3:00 in the morning.
Don't wake me up when you remember
all right,
it.
I won't.
Mark Smith says, surely it depends on the style of music genre.
Completely, but that in itself, you see, just getting back to this, case in point about, losing direction, right, is I think that anything you do musically, I reckon, will just generally add to every other area of your playing. So just give you like a completely ridiculous example. Some years ago, like I've always dabbled in, don't shoot me, in guitar, 6-string regular kind of guitar. And by the way, that's the thing. These are guitars as well. People kind of forget that, but anyway, I kind of always dabbled a little bit in 6-string guitar. And one of the kind of styles I've always loved is country, like chicken picking, and guys like, my memory's shot today. What song, mate? Brad Paisley, and Brent Mason and guys like that. Incredible, really fireworky kind of country players. And I spent probably 12 months like buried in really learning that kind of stuff, using a thumb pick and 2 fingers and doing all that chicken picking stuff, learning licks and stuff. Like kind of nothing to do with kind of anything else I really do. It's not a funk thing. It's not even bass, right? And yet, that period doing that, you could think, well, what was that all about? But I've learned so much. There's so much, and I'll demonstrate some of this in a minute, actually, that I brought from that to my bass playing. And I think, without trying to sound, like, hey, look at me, but I think it kind of added a uniqueness, to some of the licks I play, things like that. So before I kind of like just demonstrate some of that, any more comments or questions come in, Jan?
Yeah, David Milne says there are so many ways of actually using the bass, whereas there's really only really one way to play the sax, for example.
Yeah.
Mark Smith, learning walking jazz bass can help metal players.
This is it. I mean, absolutely kind of any area of music, like learning to sing will help your bass playing beyond belief, for example. Learning jazz harmony, yeah. I mean, it's just, nothing is going to detract. I'll tell you what, some people have kind of said to me in the past when they've been a little bit reticent about perhaps having lessons, is they kind of worry, say they're like really into punk or, like more edgy kind of stuff, alternative, things like that, alternative styles. They kind of worry that like in learning about theory and maybe improving the technique, they'll kind of lose what they had. And I really don't think that is a thing at all. Like if I'm, doing a punk gig, like I did that a couple of gigs with, not the Skids, but we were doing the Skid stuff and with Richard Jobson. It was like big country backing Richard Jobson. So I had to quickly learn a bunch of Skids stuff, which obviously is really punky, Yeah, and like it's like almost getting into character. You can totally like apply that kind of attitude and stuff like that. You don't have to approach it like, oh, I'm a jazz player. Do you know what I mean? So so just quickly, like just for a bit of fun, actually, my hands are freezing. Don't know if I can play, but I'm just thinking of some of the things I might have brought to to my playing from, like the country thing I was just talking about, stuff like that. Licks like that. I'll use things like that a lot, and a lot of double stops. So I've kind of applied some of that sort of stuff to funk. I do a lot of bending. Really, really feel like nervous to play. Let's try that. So that's all kind of like a little bit chicken picking it, and I reckon a lot of that stuff came from that time, just that 12 months, kind of like really working on chicken picking guitar, stuff like, stuff like that, and it feels like maybe a little unique, to my playing, and I owe that to learning something kind of completely different. So yeah. Any more comments or questions come in, Jan?
Yeah, we've got, Mark Smith. I hope you can join us when we do these live things on a Sunday in the future. He says he's had 2 weeks off work and he's back tomorrow. So I don't know whether you work through the week, but we hope you can make it. Stripey Socks late, but here. Hi, Stripey Socks.
How you doing?
Dave. No, now forgive me if I pronounce this wrong. Burla, I'm not sure. Hi Scott, I made it.
Nice one.
Rainier, he says learning walking bass helped me a lot. It opens up the fingerboard and helps you learn the way chords work.
Yeah.
That being said, I play in a prog metal band now.
Yes, yeah. So prime example in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Smith says chicken picking. Please explain.
Right, so it's nothing to do with like fried chicken and bones and things like that.
You don't play the strings with chicken legs.
No. I wonder if I can get away with just playing a little snippet of something without getting cut off. I dare I risk it.
Oh, it won't, will it? If you do an actual song, it will.
I don't know. I might get a snippet in before I'm going to try it, guys. If we go offline, it's been great knowing you. All right, let me try this.
Oh, Mark says, I can make Sundays, no problem. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Oh, I don't blame you.
Okay, let's have a go. So this is like I say, we may get chopped for this, but let's give it a go. Right, this is Hot Wired by a guy called Brent Mason. So let me just let's see what happens. That'll do. Are we still live?
I think so.
So that's that's chicken picking. It's that really like it tends to be, and it's a guitar thing, not like a bass guitar thing. So you tend to use something like that, like a thumb pick. It can be like that, and some players use 2 finger picks. Some people just use the thumb, but it's a technique where you're kind of using your. Let me see if we can zoom in. Hang on, where you're using your thumb. Let me see if I can do that. So you're using your thumb like that with a pick, and these 2 fingers. That kind of thing, right? So I've never really actually used that precise technique on bass before. Now, maybe I did. Maybe I gave it a try. But it's that kind of. It is almost funky. And I guess it just gets, that's the name people give it a lot of the time, chicken picking. Country picking is what it is. And it's such a lot of fun. It's such a fun kind of technique. And so that's something I'm going to get onto in a minute, actually, is talking about this kind of like losing direction and fun. So I'll just check in with Jan, see if you've got any more questions or comments.
Laurent says the Old Star Licks videos taught me a lot, I think that is. Have you seen the one with Earl Greco?
No, I haven't actually. I should check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip.
And Pat Delaney says Johnny Highland is awesome at the chicken picking thing.
Cool. Yeah.
Sorry, Daniel Reed, is there a veggie option for chicken picking?
Yeah,
let's hope so.
It's vegan fishless finger snatching.
I think they'll just shred in one go on the strings.
That's it. You know. So yeah, any more, Jan, or is that it?
No, over and out.
Okay, thank you.
Remembered.
There you go. Fun, right? So yeah, so one of the things when you lose direction, let's kind of like invent a scenario. Let me actually. I don't need to invent one. I'm going to borrow one from somebody that I still teach. And we were working on a thing called the diatonic chord system, which is like everything for me. It's massive. You know, it's like the Nashville numbering system, where instead of talking, like I always talk intervals, and I'm not going to get into this per se in this lesson, but instead of talking like G and D and B and stuff, if we're in the key of G, I'll talk 1, 5, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, whatever. I'll talk numbers, both for notes and for chords, right? Now, we really dug into this diatonic system over a period of weeks, me and the guy I'm talking about. And she's laughing at me.
Sorry, it's the comment again that's just come in.
We'll come back to that.
Dear.
Serious stuff, Jan. And we hit a brick. He kind of was hitting a brick wall. You just felt like it was kind of like just doing this stuff I was saying he should do. Like run these. It's like the arpeggios, of the major scale. And he just, I wouldn't say it was like losing the will to live, but he was like, what, where's this going? And so you can tell when that's coming. You can see the fire starting to, the despair is like, it doesn't mean anything, right? So at that point, it's like, right, let's just do something else. Let's do some fun stuff, And we just completely switched up and started doing, I don't know, some slap stuff, some technique stuff, some stuff that's a bit more like instant gratification stuff, And obviously, the harmony and the theory is important as well. But it was more kind of like I show him what to do, he plays it, and they had some fun with it, and that's that. And then this thing happens where, you kind of like leave something for a while. And then when we went back to it, it just all started to make sense. Everything started falling under his fingers and what have you. So that's what I'm talking about, keeping things fun. If it's starting to become a complete drag, and by the way, if you're going to get better, if you want to get better, there's got to be some hard work in there, obviously. There's got to be a little bit of frustration. There's got to be a little bit, maybe a lot, actually, depending on where you want to go. But you've still got to, enjoy it, right? And so that's why, I don't think there's anything wrong at all. It's not like you're not copping out and you're not giving in. If you pushed at something and you're like, oh, man, is this even doing me any favors? Like, why am I doing, then take a break. But don't take a break completely. Just do something else, Look at a technique that maybe I'll get onto another one in a minute. I won't mention that one. But yeah, switching things up is a great idea. And then, you're improving generally. You're improving your technique. So yeah, any more questions, Jan?
Stephen Black's joined us.
How you doing, Stephen?
Hi, Stephen. He says, when I lose direction, I just grab my heaviest bass and whack myself in the head with it for a while. That's why I was laughing.
That also works. It's a valid technique.
Does it help, though? Does it help, Stephen? David Milne says, if my bass playing feels stunted, should I just concentrate on learning music?
So if you can, just try and define stunted. Try and kind of like elaborate on that. Do you mean, yeah, because it could feel stunted in terms of, if you're trying to learn to walk. I don't mean, walk. You might be, this is really hard and I'm kind of struggling with it. Just switching up and doing something else. Bearing in mind what we said earlier, that everything you do on the instrument will improve everything else. Give you another weird example of that, right?
He's actually expanded, Scott.
Okay, go on.
He's actually said stuck in a rut of what I always play.
Right, yes, stuck in a... Right, okay, so that is one that that comes up a lot. Now, it's not been that much of an issue for me, only because, you know, I've tended to be in different outfits and doing sessions and things like that. And teaching is actually really good to force me almost to learn new music. But right, so that is a massive rut that people get stuck in, where they play the same thing. And it could be they're playing the same licks that they always play, you know, you know, or it could be that they're just playing the same sort of lines, you know. And yeah, that's the time to go, right, I'm going to learn a new bass line. I'm going to learn a new song. And by the way, I think that as well, you know, like learning new songs, and especially actually stuff that you maybe wouldn't normally look at. I'm trying to think of an example. I've had to learn tunes in the past that there's no way I'd ever, you know, I'd ever learn on my. An example that came up the other day was I did some gigs a few years ago in an ABBA tribute thing, right? You know, tight white pants, flares, the whole bit. There's some real stories to tell about that, but
No, maybe not.
I won't air them on here. And I was like, really? You know, like, really? ABBA? You know? And I, you know, I started working the lines out. I'm like, my God, this is really good. This is really enjoyable to play. And, you know, I ended up, like, buying some ABBA stuff and like, you know, quite enjoying it, to be honest. And then Jan and I, we were going out doing, like, party stuff for a while, and we put a medley together doing that stuff. So, you know, I learned a lot from doing a genre that I'd never have even thought of. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, that is an absolute definite, is because the thing we do, right, when you pick the instrument up, like for me, it's actually, I find the easiest thing to do on the bass, believe it or not, is slap stuff, right? That's what I find most comfortable to do. I can do it better than playing with my fingers when I'm not warmed up, you know. If I just pick the instrument up first thing in the morning, slapping would be the most natural thing for me to do, you know. And so the problem is that if I don't discipline myself, I'll just pick the bass up, you know, throw a drum machine on. Why does it have to be that slow? And I'd be like, you know, and I try and be creative within that, but I just sit there and slap for ages, right? You know, now where the graft comes in for me is, no, you know, like, get the fingers going, and to do that, you know, I've got to sit there with the rhythm, and you know. So I've got to put, like, quite a bit of work in when I first start practicing, just to get everything working at all, you know. And so, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, you practice what you play, what you're best at. And that's good. You know, there's value in that, because somebody said recently, and it was a bit of a turnaround in thinking for me, because I always, like, practice stuff I'm not good at. You know, I always, like, really work on the stuff I'm not good at. And obviously that's how you get better. But if you do it completely, if you go completely down that road, the thing that you're really good at is what people love about what you do, and then you end up, like, leaving that behind and wonder why nobody enjoys you playing anymore, you know? So, yeah, hope that answers that. Jan?
So let's have a look. David Milne said, yes, Scott, I do tend to avoid certain genres. Time to take a risk, methinks.
And it's great fun as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, no probs, David. Hello. He says, sorry, Jan, how rude of me. I didn't say hello. Let's have a look. Mark Smith says, if I get in that place, I pick a nice song and transcribe by ear.
Yeah, good call. Yeah.
Laron has a different approach. He says, what I do, I don't touch my bass for a week, and then I play 3 hours straight in the afternoon, locked in my bedroom, a bass, an amp, and a drink, and don't do anything except playing. So
I've just, before you carry on, Jan, let me pick up on that, because that came up in one of the live streams a few weeks ago. There's definitely this thing where you don't touch the instrument for a while, and then you pick it up, and there's this kind of, like, fresh thing going on. Like, I had it in a couple of ways with this particular bass here, which Hang on. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, and what it is, I've been doing the big country gigs again, and I've been playing with a pick with slightly heavier strings because of the kind of, talking about the attitude and stuff, and been playing these guys. And I've been, and P-bass is a big old chunky, slow responding things like you hit a note and it goes, right? They've got this strange attack. It's not strange, it's just like not what I normally kind of go for, right, and stuff. And then I picked this up, which is just a cheap aria from like the early 90s, but it's got lovely electronics in it. It's got EMGs and a BTC EMG preamp, and it's got really light strings on and a really low action, and it's got that really clicky, it's got that really clicky thing, and when you're playing with your finger, it's got that really, you're waiting for the really really clicky kind of instant response kind of thing. And so I had that the other day. I picked this up and I was like, no way, listen to that, and because I haven't played with anything but a pick for a while, and that was me gone for like 2 hours or something. Jan had to send out the search party, So yeah, definitely. So sorry, Jan.
The green bass is getting a lot of love.
It is.
Yeah, I think there's a few people drooling over that.
I'll pick it up while you're speaking.
Yeah. Mark Smith said, this is obviously when you were talking about the slapping, I'm assuming when you said the most natural thing for you is if you wake up, you'd slap. Not me.
When I wake up?
Well, when you...
Morning!
I've had that before when you're still half asleep.
Anyway, moving through.
No, he said, that's interesting. Slapping is the most unnatural thing for me. It just sounds a mess. And then we had bass mate. I like that. Bass mate.
Yes.
Yeah, clever.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Slapping also is the most unnatural thing for me too. Oh, I'm just too stupid to slap. I don't think that's true. I'm sure it's not.
You don't come more stupid than me.
It said it sounds horrible and I'm close to giving it up forever. Oh, no, you can't do that. No.
No.
And you do teach slap bass, don't you, Scott?
She should be on commissioner. Yeah, I do. The thing is about slapping, there may be more there, Jan, but just quickly. And I'm kind of almost glad that came up. It just came out there, but it's true. It is true. That is the technique that I feel most at home with. Maybe it's because I kind of started on, on drums for a short period of time, like about a year or something before I started playing bass. But it for me, I kind of go around much to the annoyance of Jan and the rest of my family, like kind of, always kind of making rhythms, like tapping stuff and, making everything into some kind of drum machine.
To be fair, we're getting it in stereo, don't we?
Yeah.
One of our sons does it.
He is. So like slapping is just a way of kind of me expressing that, like so like that. It's a way of just kind of which to do that with your fingers, is going to be like kind of much harder. So, but at the same time, by the way, that was a really sort of kind of naff period for me when slap became such a hated thing. Seen as like showy off technique and all that stuff. It did me head in because it's what I kind of do naturally, and it was kind of insulting, really. How dare they? So I'm really glad it's kind of come back. Maybe it's come back too much. It's kind of gone nuts now. But yeah, by the way, listen to the state of that horrible E string. That's what a sweaty night with Big Country will do to a brand new set of strings. They were brand new before that one gig. So
David Mills just off for his tea. He says, thanks you two for a very informative 40 minutes, but I've got to go. My tea's out.
Priorities, man. Yeah. You do right.
So Mike Edwards, his approach to it when he gets in a bit of a rut, he says, whenever I get stuck in a rut, I noodle and sometimes I surprise myself.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. There are so many mad things you can do, right? Going to talk about another way that helps me, and it's not necessarily great advice, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. But just really quickly, other things you can do, because there are so many ways that you can kind of get stale with your playing. It might be that you feel like you're playing, the same licks, so you can mess around with timing. For example, if you're into improvising and stuff, or creating lines, you could do that thing where instead of starting on the one, so let's get a rhythm going. So instead of starting on the 1, 2, 3, 4, which is what you probably do, just skip the 1 and start somewhere after it, even if you're not sure where. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so all I did was just consciously go, I'm not playing the 1. I don't know where I'm going to come in exactly, and just before I came in, I was like, I'm going to come in there. And you may be at a stage where you're more in control of that. It may be completely random, but just do it, just kind of do things like that. Another is don't start on the route, so I was on the route before. So instead of starting on the route, I'm going to start on another note. It could be random. I'm going to try a random note and see where I can go with it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was a weird note. That Ringy, that was like a flat 5 thing. It's really hard to be truly random, by the way. But
I'm dancing around in my chair here to that funky groove.
Very kind, Jan. Or you could, if you know your harmony a bit more, you could think, right, I'm going to start on the 3rd or the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of stuff, and so that's one way you can break out of it. Another cool thing you can do, and you need to record this if you do this, is you can put your bass out of tune, but not randomly. Like maybe put I don't know. Let's try this. I'm going to tune the D string up a tone, right? So instead of D, I'm going to put it to E. Snap the neck off. There we go. So we've got, and then I'll put I'm going to put the A string down a tone. So that'll be G. Right, now I'm going to play some stuff. I'm going to play what I think is going to sound like dum 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 dum. Right, let's see what comes out. Oh, it's going to be funny. That sounded pretty out there. If I had a bass player playing that, I'd be like, what the dickens is that guy doing? In a really cool way. Now I'm not going to lie, I just played what was one of my boring normal licks, if you like, the things I might always play, but something else is coming out. And then if you kind of record that, transcribe it, tune your bass normally, and then work out how to play it, that's another great way of taking what you already do and the mechanics and everything, and then creating something new. So yeah. So before I get on, I'm not going to stay on much longer. I've just got one other topic I wanted to kind of cover. But any more stuff coming, Jan?
Yeah, a few people. Now, this is a dangerous thing, though, because I think it'll be like the gas syndrome.
They're going to go where I'm going to go in a minute, aren't they? Right, yeah.
So Laurent says, exactly, getting a new bass too triggers a new motivation for playing.
Right, yeah.
let's have a look. Pat Delaney, he says changing gear up can help. Going from a 5-string back to 4 has given my playing a new lease of life.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and he says, though, can be expensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the thing. It's a bit of a dangerous one, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that is just like...
Well, I'm going to get in deep into that in a second.
What, the gas?
Yeah. Any more, Jan?
Now, this is another interesting. There's a lot of people here saying they can't slap. They find it really difficult. All the different things, you know. Let's have a look.
I understand that, by the way, and yeah.
Sam's tinkering around. I would love to be able to slap, lol. You know, there's quite a few who've said about not being able to slap. Now, you did mention a while ago, didn't you, about doing a workshop?
Yeah.
Now, this could be a good thing to actually do it on.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in... Would you be doing it for like half a day or a day?
Well, the idea is, and it's not, you know, it's not fully formulated, but the idea is, I do a slap workshop, and we could run it for like half a day thing, I would say.
Yeah. And is that like Zoom or something?
And do it over Zoom, so it's like a group call, so we can all see each other, we can all put our mics on and talk to each other, you know, and we can get really specific about things.
Well, there's 2 who said they're in already, Pat Delaney and Base Matty. If anybody else is, just drop it down there if you're interested. Obviously, if there's enough interest,
sure,
you know.
Yeah, and you know, send me an email as well on scott@scott-whitley.com, or just drop a comment below and we'll get in touch. But if you're interested, I'm sure, you know, across Facebook or YouTube, you'll be able to kind of drop me a message. And yeah, you know, we can put you down for one. But it's something that's been talked about over the last few weeks, so I'm definitely gonna get it in with that. So anything else, Jan?
Damien Sweeney says I'd be interested in that too. So
cool.
that could be the first topic of the workshops.
Absolutely.
Stephen Black says that used to be me. I couldn't slap. Then I took lessons from the best teacher ever, Scott Whitley. Now I'm a slapping fool. And he said, sign me up.
Yeah, seriously, Stephen has made such massive progress. And just drop this in, by the way, really quick. We did a workshop a few weeks ago about slowing things down to speed up. And Pat was one of the guys that actually went live and behind the scenes was working for an hour at something slowly and really gradually building it up. Well, Stephen and I have been doing that over the last sort of few weeks, and the progress is like off the chart. It really works. So yeah.
Laurent says also interested. That's 5 actually already.
Excellent.
So I mean, I don't know. You're not going to do it too big, are you? So you can kind of have quite a smallish group.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 or something.
I was thinking 10. It would be a good number because if it gets too big, it gets out of control.
Yeah.
But we could always schedule another if there's enough interest, you know. So yeah. Cool. So
Stephen says that was so hard to get through my thick head. Oh dear.
So anything else, Jan, before we dive into the gas chamber? That's not very good, is it?
Elisa and Greg Sabol. I'm sure they said who it was last time. Hi, Jan and Scott. My slapping sounds lame. Well, again, if you're interested in the workshop, just mention it on here, and we can. You know, if there's enough interest. I'm just seeing if I missed anything else.
That'll be really good fun, by the way, you know, because I love to kind of share, you know, and demystify this stuff. Because, like I say, I'm honestly, it maybe sounds really bad me saying that feels most natural to me, but it feels bad in a different way to me because it's like, you know, I wish the finger stuff was more natural. But yeah.
Laurent says gas.
Let's do it then,
eh? Jake Tyler, do you have funk bass lessons by chance? Wow.
Well, yeah.
What a good idea.
Yeah. Just keep getting. Yeah. I mean, I wish. Actually, Jan, if you could drop my email address in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Scott@scott-whitley.com, and then you know, if you're interested in any of this stuff, you know, and any of these workshops we're talking about, then also drop me an email, and then we can kind of keep things organised. So right, let's get into the last thing I was going to talk about in terms of if you kind of lose your way or your inspiration or you're feeling like a bit I've actually forgotten the title of this live stream. What did we call it? If you've lost your direction, right? Which I just did. That's funny. Then, yeah. Now this is it is kind of a controversial thing to talk about, and like Jan said, it's kind of dangerous if you're not careful. But I'm gonna go there anyway, right? So I've always been really interested in playing the bass, but I've also always been really interested in bass guitars, in bass gear, pedals, tech, just strings, like all that stuff, has really always fascinated me. I've always been a tinkerer, if you like. And the truth of it is, it did get completely out of control with me. It absolutely did, where, I was turning up at a gig with a different bass every gig, more or less. I mean, it was insane. And I've gone through, I've lost count. And the last count, it was nearly like 400 basses through my life. I've never owned that many. Sometimes I've owned 2 or 1. Sometimes I've owned 10 or 15, depending on whether I'm kind of like buying and selling or whatever. But yeah, and through that time as well, I've lost a lot of money, right? So let's get that out of the way. I used to be not good at buying and terrible at selling, and but looking for a positive in it. It always kept me kind of really on my toes playing wise. I was always kind of like, this sounds amazing, and then I'd like practice for hours and hours on end, and I couldn't wait to get it out on the gig and do the thing, and then so although there was a lot of time and money wasted kind of swapping instruments. It did definitely keep the fire going. Now, I'm not recommending to anyone that they do that. But the other thing it did for me personally is I learned so much about the instrument, right? I've never had anyone else set my instruments up. I've leveled frets myself. I've shimmed necks. I've resprayed them. I've defretted them. I've epoxy resin the fingerboard on a fretless. I've changed pickups, I've changed preamps, I've changed bridges. I've gone through like about every make and gauge of strings there is on the market, and in doing that, I learned so much. Like I can recall basses that I had like 10, 15 years ago, and kind of weirdly, I can remember what they felt like. I remember like whether they kind of had a lot of fret buzz or they were more dead. It's really weird, but I've kind of it's like almost like a photographic memory of all that stuff. And so when I kind of designed when I designed the SWB1, all that kind of, that sort of experimentation went into that bass. And, oddly enough, I don't have one at the minute, and that's like a logistics thing, because there are none available at the minute, and I sold mine because of lockdown and stuff. But I'll be definitely back on them. But anyway, I digress. Within reason, it can be... and this is what I've learned, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with being really into the gear, as long as it's making you put the work in and it's not costing you money and it's not robbing you of too much time. So my approach to that is not to kind of like advise, anyone on how they spend their money. But what I found works, and like I say, I was like off the rails with it, and that's completely under control now. But what I found in the end was, I knew it was something that I did. I knew I liked to chop and change. So I just always bought secondhand, always looked for real bargains and what have you, in great condition. And then at worst, you don't lose any money if you flip it, and at best, you maybe even make a little bit of money on it, And I know guys that have got really, really good at that. So they've kind of turned this kind of interest in the gear into a little money-making sideline. It's never quite been that for me. I'm not going to lie. I don't like to kind of make money out of gear, but as long as I'm not losing it, that's kind of where I ended up. And then more recently, it's calmed down a lot. So yeah, changing amps, changing strings, trying different strings is a massive way of kind of changing how your bass feels and sounds. For relatively little money. So, like I say, as long as it doesn't, and it can get out of control, then messing with gear is is a great way to kind of keep you interested, you know, if that's, and it puts you way more in touch with your instrument as well. You know, if you can get the Allen keys out and like, man, it just feels a little bit like this, and lower the action and change the pickup height and things like that. You know, I think it puts you more in touch with what the instrument does, you know. So, yeah, interested in your thoughts on that. I've rambled on for a bit there, haven't I, Jan? Anything?
Yeah, that's nothing new, is it?
Hang on, I'm going to take a breath.
Stephen made a point here, and I totally agree with this. Funk and slap overlap, I think. Overlap a lot, I think.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah, anything else, John?
No, but there's about 7 people interested so far in this slap workshop.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, I'm just putting it down again. You know, if they want to just send you an email to show the interest, and once there are enough, then you can obviously arrange a date.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that thing about funk and slap overlapping, completely agree. And just really quickly, there's a flip to that, right? So I think slap is generally kind of known for being a funk technique, I would say, or a disco technique, which I kind of see as like disco being like, you know, commercial funk almost. And the flip of it is that slap can actually be used for a lot more. Now that's the interesting thing, is that again it gets seen as, oh yeah, funk, you know, and yet. Now, you know, I'm not going to get into whether this is the actual thing, but, you know, Larry Graham is known as being the guy that kind of invented the slap thing. I don't know. But from videos I've watched of him and stuff, you know, they were doing like kind of soul and R&B and swing stuff and things like that. Was it his mum who played organ, I think? And he was doing that kind of like walking thing and just kind of using the slap to kind of just create a drum sort of sound, you know. Like, let's see if we can. That sort of thing, which is kind of not really anything to do with slap. That funk. That's kind of a swing thing. So that's the flip, that I completely agree with Stephen about funk and slap kind of being almost one and the same. But if, like I say, if you kind of invert the thinking a little bit and start just thinking of slap as just a way of hitting the string, you know, you can play, well, we're talking about country. I'm just trying this stuff. You know, you could play blues, I guess, yeah. You know, you could use it for, you can certainly use it for rock stuff, you know. That's funk, innit? And so on. You know, you can use it for and even ballads, you know. So it's actually a very versatile technique. So I think we've kind of covered a lot of stuff. There's been some great comments come in and suggestions from everybody on how they deal with losing direction with the playing and getting past that. And this video is going to stay online. So if you're watching this after the fact, please drop your comments below. About this. Jan, anything else come in?
Just to finish off, we'll just go through obviously some of the last comments here.
Yeah.
The Jimbo 11 says, I make bass lines up vocally to a song, and when I come up with something good, I then try and find the notes and the timing on my bass.
Spot on. Yeah.
Let's have a
Always
look.
try and sing what you play. Yeah. And yeah. Absolutely.
Laurent says, same I thought getting my 1968 P-Bass will close the book, but no, now I am selling it to acquire new stuff. Yeah, that gas. Effects. Pat Delaney says effects can be fun as well.
Absolutely.
Is that the Helix, the HX? My Helix effects opens up a world of sounds.
Yeah, quick
Keeps
pause,
it
Jan.
yeah.
On that one, completely missed that one, actually. Yeah, you know, if you throw, like, I've touched on this before, if I throw some reverb on, like... It just what it gives you back makes you start playing different things, you know, and different effects, like, you know. Defy anyone to try and not be funky with that sound.
Keeps it interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Let's have a look.
That's on the little Zoom B1, by the way. Yeah, today.
Laurent says, okay, talking about funk, and now I want to do. Now I want to go and play some. You see,
There you go.
it is easy to feel like playing bass. He says, extra light gauge, low action. That's you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's my natural habitat. Like, yeah.
I'm just trying to.
She knows her stuff.
Make sure. Jimbo 11, I don't know whether you want to cover this or another. What's the best setup for slap, string gauge, and height? Well, actually, that pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
Light strings.
Yeah, it did really.
Action.
Yeah, very, very quickly. You know, like the setup. By the way, and all these people, and I'll get into this, in the workshop particularly. But yeah, setup makes a great or huge difference in how easy slap is to do. But the gauges that I'm using, I've just got these temporarily until I get some more GHS. These are, the cheap Warwick ones, but 35. Hey, oh, camera's changed. Anyway, the 35 to 95. So that you can go lighter. There's Rotor Sounds Funkmaster FM66. They're 30 to 90. So if you've got, if you don't really want to take the plunge and put something as light as that on your main bass, and you've got a second bass, you could kind of almost dedicate that to, if you want to get into slap, to just like learning slap. Put some 30 to 90, this is like long scale, or 35 to 95, or work on a short scale for that really, really light, easy thing. And you might just need to like slacken the truss rod off like a quarter turn, because they won't be pulling as much. But it makes a massive difference.
And just... obviously, it's a bit rotten, really, because I think he's maybe just joined or he's just finally said hello.
Right, hiya.
Juan Manuel Padilla or Padilla.
That sounds very well pronounced. How are you doing, man?
Greetings from Mexico. Wow.
Greetings.
So we've got France, Mexico, all these places again. It's great.
Yeah, it is.
And Mark Smith. Cheers, Scott. Hopefully we'll be able to see Jan next time.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We're going to start a petition.
I just want to point out, Scott, on the restream that I'm seeing all the comments.
Yeah.
I think this is Facebook that's on my phone.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to have gone over to restream. So
maybe we've...
could have missed some things, but Ingo here says, even cool in rock music.
Yeah, very cool.
But so if we've missed anything on Facebook, I apologise because for some reason it hasn't picked up. We use some, is it software?
Restream, yeah.
And it hasn't picked that up on there. So apologies if we've missed anything.
At least it hasn't killed us off.
No, that's it. And so I've put a link with regards to the workshop, the SLAT workshop, which, as I've said, there's no date confirmed as yet, but it does look like there's a lot of people interested, and I've said 10 people will probably be the limit so that it can still be very personal.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I've put your email address, so if they want to drop you an email to show the interest, and then obviously you can organise that and let people know.
Yeah. Cheers, Jan.
And I think that's it, really.
All right, guys. Yeah, so, that's about everything. So thanks very much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to try and keep these, Sunday at 4 p.m. UK time off the top of my head. Let's just find out what that is worldwide. If anyone knows, let's have a look. Hang on. So
Obviously, you're back gigging. It's you're
Yeah.
going to do your best there, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's kind of good news on that. That it's been very difficult to, and I mean seriously difficult to kind of keep the momentum going with the channel, which is really important to me. And hopefully, you know, it is to everybody who's watching. I hope you're enjoying what we're doing here. But it's in so many ways it's been so difficult. And the good news is there are things in motion which will hopefully, you know, improve that situation. So let me just have a look here. I'm just gonna I have the times written down somewhere. But it's basically I've lost it. It doesn't matter. 4 p.m. UK time, and that equates to, I think it's 11 a.m. It's basically morning in America. So I'll post that. I'll drop with. Oh, here we go. It's 1100 hours Pacific time and 1400. No, it's not.
I'm sure they'll work it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
4 p.m. UK
It was all going
time.
so smoothly till this point. Yeah, so so it's either going to be a live stream, but the real goal is 4 p.m. on a Sunday will be an edited video, very specific, very to the point, and I'll probably appear in the live chat at the side, and then the first Tuesday of every month we're going to aim to do a live stream. So that's the plan. If we don't kind of stick to it 100%, it's just because of circumstances. But long term, that's the plan. So we're going to try and make that work. Anyone else before we go, Jan, just to give a shout out?
Yeah, Greg just came in. Hi, Greg.
Hi,
but
Greg.
we're just going to be going in a minute, Greg. And Ingo here says, great video as always.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's been great. A lot of people from all over the world.
Absolutely. It's been lovely to do this today. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you in the next video. See ya. And it's bye from
Bye.
Jan. See you later. Bye.
Bye.